Hi guys, I hope you are doing well. Yeah. I want to thank you for your hard work so far this semester. Yeah, this is a very difficult semester and I wish I were working with you in person, but I can tell you that the amount you are learning and the progress you are making each week, yeah, it's not no less at all compared to a regular semester. So I really appreciate your hard work and I want you to know that. Okay. This week's song is also very difficult. I would say in three ways. One thing that complicates this song is the rhythm. We will have a whole bunch of dotted quarter notes. The second item that makes this song difficult is what's called a key signature. The third is what's called a slur. So the first item, a dotted quarter note. We have seen a dotted half note a whole bunch of times by now. Okay, a dot made everything that's attached that it's attached to 1.5 times longer, right? So a dotted half note, a half note by itself is 2 beats, so a dotted half note became 3 beats. 3 beats are easy to count with 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3. However, how would you count 1.5 beats? So a quarter note is 1 beat, right? With a dot, it becomes 1.5 beats. How do you count that? So, as you might have guessed, and as you can see on your pointers sheet, that's where the counting we've been doing 1 and 2 and comes in handy. Okay, so let's look at this closely. So, this is more of a normal measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 quarter notes straight through would just come on each number. Now, this is a dotted half note. Okay, I'm sorry, dotted quarter note. So this will last for 1.5. That means the following note cannot come in any number. 1.5. So 1 and 2, and then that one after 1.5 would be the end after 2. Not the end after 1, but not the end after 2. Why? Because 1.5 beat will need to go longer than the 2, right? But not quite 3. Do you see that? Let me repeat that one more time. So 1.5 beats. Why? Because a quarter note is dotted. A dot makes everything 50% longer than the original. So that's why this note, the next note after the dotted quarter note, cannot come in 2. Okay? If the next note came in 2, then the first note would be a quarter note. The next note, this note, cannot come in on 3 either, because if the next note came in on 3, the first note became a half note. Okay, so this is what it should sound like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I'm gonna do it one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and like that. Okay, now the next thing that makes the second item, the second issue with this song is the key signature. So previously, with our previous songs, between the clefs and the meter, you don't see anything, right? Between the clef and meter, it's blank. But with this song, you see between the clef and meter, you see a sharp inserted. It could be 2 sharps, it could be a flat, 2 flats, 4 flats, it could be 5 sharps. Doesn't matter. They are called key signature. In our case, it's a sharp. At this point, you have to look at this sharp very carefully to see where exactly it's located. If you look very closely, you will see, do you see the square part of the sharp? It's a pound size basically, but the square part, try to look at the square part of the sharp sign and you will see that it's on the top line for the treble clef. in other words, you will see a line going through it. That means the sign's on the line. And which line? The F line. Basically, you will see that the second line from the top, the F line, is going through the square part of the pound sign. So at this point, we've figured out that there's a sharp on F. Now, that means every time you see an F, okay, this is the very important part. Any F's, that's the main point of this part of the video. Any F's, okay? So don't just look at this particular F, the top line. This F too here, or this F. So that's what I meant, and that's why I underlined it here. Anywhere across the keyboard. Okay, so it could be this F, it could be this F, it could be any F's. On my keyboard, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 F's. Whatever F you have to play anywhere, the F's need to be sharpened. Those F's need to be sharpened. So I hope you get it by now that there's a huge difference between just looking at where this particular F is located, between just looking at this particular line, and, or I should say versus just going by the letter name. The latter is what you should do. Don't just look at the line these sharps are located. Once you figure out they're on the F line, forget which particular line was. Just remember F. Go by the letter name. Okay, this is one thing. I know I'm sounding repetitive now, but this is something I have to ask people to redo because you know this is really important. So any F's, for example, here too. Okay. Alright, so that was the second item, right? The third item is this line, this arc. We've seen arcs before, but before the arc, usually much shorter, was called a tie. This one is called a slur. What's the difference? What do you think? A tie can connect two identical notes. Why? Because the tie sign tells you not to replay the second one but keep holding the two notes, right? So that's what the tie sign told you to do. That means a tie sign could only connect C to C, not C to E or C to F, okay? So that was a tie sign. A slur sign can cover a whole range of different notes, and furthermore, the slur sign is not about the two notes connected. It covers the whole range. So what does that mean? Do you have to just hold everything? No, that's not the case. Slur and the tie are two completely different signs. Slur just means that. So this is the melody. Uh-oh. Yeah. So I'm gonna count with you. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. You don't have to play this fast. Actually, I'm not gonna count because I want you to hear what I'm doing. Do you see my melody was connected? Not. I didn't do that. I lifted my finger after each note, but I did not lift my finger too quickly either. One note was connected to the next note. Well, that's what the slur asks you to do, as opposed to this. That's the opposite of the slur. Okay, so instead of disjunct, they want you to connect to the next note well, but not overlap either. So don't do this. Don't keep holding, but don't lift this finger too early either. Do you see that? So that's the slur. That's the slur. Not this or not this. So I wrote on our pointer sheet, play nice and smooth, not choppy. So that's pretty much what the slur sign is about. And so the implication of the slur sign then is that you cannot just use one finger. Because if you use the one finger on a whole bunch of different notes, you kind of have to lift early to move on, right? Or an example, a better example would be from here to here. Yeah. But if you use two fingers, again, do not overlap, do not do this, but you can leave this finger long enough to connect well, connect better. So that's the slur sign. Okay, again, I'm sorry to be repetitive, but this is another issue I often ask people to redo this song for. So the slur is not a tie. Okay, so don't keep holding it, just connect well. Then, as I said just a few minutes ago, or not even, in order for you to connect, you have to pay attention to the fingering. The fingering, they give you little numbers. I'm not sure if I'm gonna circle this with my blue pen because the page is getting busier. Yeah. They give you guidance as to what finger to use. Okay, so about this fingering issue, I hope you're okay by now, but there's no set position for each hand. Okay, your hand is gonna move wherever it's required. So in some part of the song, your pinky might have played G, but in another part of the song, your pinky might have to move much higher. Okay, so don't think that, oh, it's so funny, I thought the pinky was on 5, something like that. Okay, your hand, especially at this point in the semester, your hand is gonna move, both hands are going to move pretty much actively across the keyboard. So, again, if anything is not clear, please write to me. Okay, thank you.